Hey guys, tonight we travel back 66 million years, not to witness a catastrophe, but to watch one fail to happen. We're going to stand on a shoreline at the very end of the Cretaceous period, under a sky that is about to change forever by simply staying the same. You are there, feeling the humid, super-oxygenated air fill your lungs, watching a family of duck-billed hadrosaurs browse on strange, waxy ferns at the edge of a primordial forest. Everything is peaceful, but there is a strange tension in the air, an ancient, instinctual dread. Let's be honest, even without a 6-mile-wide asteroid, your chances of surviving a week here are statistically, well, let's just call it a rounding error. You're less a participant, more of a very fragile, very temporary ghost. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's always nice to know who's out there listening in the dark. Go ahead and post your city and what time it is for you in the comments. It's fascinating to see where everyone is tuning in from as the world sleeps. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You are standing on what will one day be called the coast of Montana, but right now, it's just a stretch of warm, damp sand bordering the western interior seaway. The air is thick, soupy, and carries the scent of decay and damp earth, of salt and strange, heavy blossoms. It's a world painted in greens and browns, under a sky that seems somehow bigger, closer. The higher oxygen content of the atmosphere, a well-established fact about this era, makes everything feel more intense, more vital. You can almost feel the richness of the air as you breathe, a heady cocktail that fuels the giants around you. In the distance, a herd of Triceratops horridus moves slowly through a grove of magnolia trees. They are magnificent, their huge, bony frills like ornate shields, their 3 horns glinting in the hazy sunlight. You watch one of them meticulously strip leaves from a low-hanging branch, chewing with a placid indifference that is almost comical for such a formidable beast. It's easy to imagine them as noble titans, but at the end of the day, they're just colossal 3-horned cows looking for the prehistoric equivalent of a really good patch of clover. As dusk begins to settle, the world grows louder. The air fills with the drone of insects the size of your hand and the chirps and croaks of unseen amphibians. A flock of slender, long-legged dinosaurs, perhaps ornithomimus, dashes across the floodplain, their movements bird-like and twitchy. One lets out a piercing squawk, and the others follow suit, the Cretaceous version of a car alarm going off for no particular reason. You sink down behind a giant, moss-covered log, trying to make yourself as small as possible. The Wi-Fi signal is terrible here, but the sense of immediate peril is crystal clear. It's then that you, and all the creatures around you, notice it. A new star in the sky. It wasn't there last night. It's a tiny, sharp point of light, but it seems to grow brighter, more insistent, with every passing minute. The background hum of the forest quiets. The hadrosaurs lift their heads from the water's edge, their great, hollow crests pointed towards the sky. They let out low, mournful calls, notes of deep unease that vibrate through the ground. Even the insects seem to pause their incessant buzzing. This is it, the moment of truth. In another timeline, this star is the harbinger of doom, the celestial bullet with Earth's name on it. But tonight, in this story, Something is different. You watch, holding a breath you didn't realize you were holding. The star grows, yes, but it also begins to move, not straight down, but sideways. It swells from a point of light into a searing white-hot streak, a tear in the fabric of the night. It's accompanied by a sound that isn't a sound at all, but a deep, gut-wrenching pressure in your ears. The Chicxulub impactor, the great killer, is screaming past the planet. It is a cosmic near miss, a brush with oblivion, so close that it pulls the atmosphere outwards in a silent, planetary gasp. For a moment, the sky is alight with the fire of its passage, a brilliant, terrible spectacle that casts long, dancing shadows on the ground. Then, as quickly as it appeared, it is gone. The light fades back towards the stars, shrinking once more into a pinpoint, and then vanishing entirely. The silence that follows is profound. It lasts for a full minute. Then, a single cricket-like creature resumes its chirping. A hadrosaur honks, tentatively this time. The ornithomimid that was so loud earlier is nowhere to be seen, having wisely decided to be anywhere else. Life, which had been holding its collective breath, exhales. The great extinction event has been canceled. The Cenozoic era, the age of mammals, has been indefinitely postponed. You look towards the deep woods, where the true king of this place has likely been watching the sky as well. Scientists still argue whether the Tyrannosaurus rex had vision as sharp as a modern eagle, or if it relied more on an almost supernatural sense of smell to hunt. Either way, it surely sensed the shift in the world, the passing of the great threat. In the distance, you hear a low, rumbling roar that is less a sound and more a physical force. It's not a roar of anger or of triumph. It sounds, if anything, like a roar of ownership, a declaration that this world, which so narrowly avoided annihilation, is still, and will continue to be, its own. For the dinosaurs, tomorrow will now be just another day, and the day after that, for the next 66 million years, the small, shrew-like mammal hiding in the roots of a giant fern near your foot doesn't know any of this, of course. For this tiny, furry creature, one of your distant relatives, the terrifying light show simply meant it was a good night to stay hidden. It has no idea that its destiny, its chance to inherit the earth, just flew by at 50,000 miles per hour. A quirky but true tidbit about this era is the sheer resilience of these early mammals, surviving in the niches the dinosaurs couldn't be bothered with, like tiny, resourceful tenants in a giant's castle. This one just had its lease unexpectedly extended. Are you still awake? The world is settling now, the brief panic over. The air is returning to its familiar, humid rhythm. When you are ready, we will see what happens in a world where nothing changes at all. The deep, resonant roar of the Tyrannosaur fades, and the world breathes. Not just for a moment, but for 1,000 years. Then 10,000, 100,000 years blur into 1,000,000. And you are there, a silent witness to it all, watching a world that has forgotten how to change. The Great Reset button was never pressed. This is Earth on an infinite loop, a lush, vibrant, and profoundly stagnant Eden. The scenery, for the most part, remains the same. You could leave for a few millennia and come back to find the same groves of cycads, the same meandering rivers, the same families of dinosaurs munching on the same prehistoric shrubs. The TripAdvisor reviews for this era would be abysmal. Lovely atmosphere, But the scenery hasn't changed in 50,000 years. 0 stars. You watch from the edge of the forest as a new generation of Triceratops, perhaps the 500th great-grandchildren of the ones you saw on that fateful night, plod through the undergrowth. They look identical. Their frills might be a fraction of an inch wider, their horns a little more worn, but their fundamental design is unchanged. This is a concept known as evolutionary stasis, and it's a well-documented phenomenon. Many successful species in our own timeline, like sharks or the coelacanth, hit upon a winning formula and saw no reason to change for hundreds of millions of years. The dinosaurs, it seems, were the undisputed champions of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Their lives are simple, governed by ancient rhythms. Eat, drink, find a mate, and try very, very hard not to become a snack for the local apex predator. There are no quarterly reports to file, no grand ambitions beyond seeing the next sunrise, just teeth, claws, and an endless appetite. It's a brutal but refreshingly straightforward existence. You follow a lumbering, long-necked sauropod, an Alamosaurus, as it moves through the landscape like a living mountain. It is a biological marvel, a beautifully engineered yet highly inefficient processing plant for converting ferns into fertilizer. Its tiny head, perched atop that impossible neck, swings lazily from side to side, methodically stripping leaves with all the passion of someone sorting paperwork. Its slow, thudding footsteps are the metronome of this unchanging world. The lack of change doesn't mean a lack of drama, of course. It just means the drama is repetitive. You witness a young Tyrannosaurus rex attempting its first real hunt. It's clumsy, inexperienced, all teeth and youthful overconfidence. It charges at a wall of adult Triceratops, which simply lower their heads in unison, presenting a fortress of horns and bone that the youngster wisely decides not to test. It retreats with a frustrated snort, its pride wounded, but its body intact. This same scene will play out with different actors millions of times over the coming eons. A timeless dance of predator and prey, locked in a perfect, stable balance. The quirky, less majestic side of this existence is ever present. You notice an Ankylosaurus, that famous living tank, pausing its meal to vigorously rub its side against a large boulder. A closer look reveals the reason. Its thick, scaly hide is teeming with parasites, colossal ticks the size of grapes. In a world without groomers or flea collars, this was a constant, irritating reality for almost every creature. Scientists have found fossilized insects trapped in amber that are clearly adapted to feeding on dinosaurs, proving that even a 40-foot-long predator had to deal with the prehistoric equivalent of a really, really bad case of bed bugs. It's a humbling detail, a reminder that these were animals, not mythical monsters. You drift over the great herds of duck-billed dinosaurs, the Edmontosaurus. They are the most populous large animals here, vast congregations that stretch for miles across the plains. Paleontologists still debate the nature of these massive herds. Were they complex, cohesive family units with intricate social hierarchies led by wise old matriarchs? Or were they just loose, anonymous aggregations of convenience, like a crowd at a modern music festival? Everyone is there for the same resources, but nobody really knows anyone else. Watching them now, you see evidence for both. You see mothers carefully guarding their young, but you also see a level of casual indifference as the herd moves, a simple safety in numbers calculation with little room for sentiment. And what of our tiny mammalian ancestor, the one who watched the asteroid fly by from the safety of its burrow? Its life, too, is caught in this stasis. You see its descendants, small, nocturnal, and perpetually terrified. They are furry blurs in the moonlight, darting between the roots of giant trees, scavenging for insects and fallen fruit. The world above ground is simply too full, too dominated by the dinosaurian old guard. There are no ecological niches for them to expand into, no opportunities to grow bigger, faster, or smarter. They are stuck in the planetary basement, waiting for an opening that in this timeline may never come. They are the perpetual underdogs, biding their time in a world that refuses to let them have their day. 1,000,000 years pass like a long, slow afternoon. The mountains erode by a few inches. The river changes its course by half a mile. A dynasty of tyrannosaurs rises, rules for 100,000 years, and is replaced by another that is infinitesimally stronger, faster, but fundamentally the same. The world is a masterpiece that the artist has declared finished, content to let it hang, unchanged in the gallery of time. The air is still thick, the plants are still strange, and the giants still rule. The sun sets on this day, one of 365 million just like it. Are you feeling sleepy yet? The rhythm of this place is slow, deep, and unending. There are no surprises here, not yet. Let the sameness wash over you. When you're ready, we will push forward through time and see what happens when the world finally receives its first gentle nudge. For 5,000,000 years, the world has been holding its breath. Now, very slowly, it begins to exhale. The change is imperceptible at first, a difference you would only notice if you were a ghost, unbound by time. You feel it as a new crispness in the night air, a subtle shift in the quality of the rain, which now sometimes falls with a coolness that feels alien to this ancient, humid world. The eternal planetary summer is finally ending. The long, slow cooling has begun. This isn't a sudden cataclysm like the asteroid that never was. This is a gradual, grinding pressure, a slow tightening of an invisible vice. This global cooling trend is a well-documented force that shaped our own timeline, giving rise to the ice ages and paving the way for mammals. Now the dinosaurs must face it. For the first time in millions of years, they are presented with a genuine evolutionary challenge. The rules of the game are changing, and the players must adapt or be swept from the board. You drift across the landscape as millennia roll by. The change is most obvious in the plant life. The lush, tropical ferns and cycads that dominated the world for so long are beginning to retreat, their territory shrinking towards the equator. In their place, new, hardier plants are taking root. Conifers, reminiscent of pines and firs, march down from the highlands, their needles better suited to the cooler, drier seasons. And then, something truly revolutionary appears: grass. At first, it's just a few patches of tough, green stubble in a clearing. But over thousands of years, it spreads, creating the world's first savannas. For the giant herbivores, this is a culinary disaster. It's as if their entire world of 5-star leafy green restaurants was suddenly replaced by an endless, bland, and hard-to-chew salad bar. The animals react in different ways. You see the great, lumbering sauropods, the descendants of Alamosaurus, struggling. Their long necks were perfectly adapted for reaching high into the canopy of tropical trees, but they are clumsy and inefficient at grazing on the low-lying grasses. Their numbers begin to thin. You witness an old, magnificent bull, 40 tons of reptilian might, seeing its favorite grove of ferns covered in a shimmering layer of frost for the first time. It snorts in confusion, nudging the cold, brittle leaves with its snout. It's the prehistoric equivalent of waking up to find your favorite coffee shop has been closed for permanent, planet-wide renovations. The debate over dinosaur metabolism becomes critically important now. Scientists have long debated whether the largest dinosaurs were truly warm-blooded, like birds, or if they practiced a unique form of gigantothermy, where their sheer body mass, like a giant water-filled barrel, was enough to maintain a constant internal temperature. In this cooling world, the gigantotherms are having a hard time. The big, scaly sunbathers find their mornings increasingly difficult. Their routine now involves an extra 2 hours of jockeying for position in the shrinking patches of direct sunlight, a challenging task when you are the size of a double-decker bus. But where there are losers, there are also winners. Evolution, spurred on by the changing climate, begins to experiment. The Triceratops lineage, the ceratopsians, proved to be remarkably adaptable. Their powerful beaks, once used for shearing soft cycads, evolved to become even broader and tougher, perfect for grinding up the resilient new grasses and conifers. They are becoming the bison of the Mesozoic. And then there is the fuzz. Feathers, which were once thought to be exclusive to smaller bird-like dinosaurs, are now proving to be a massive advantage. We know from fossils in our own timeline that even relatives of T-Rex had feathers at some point in their lineage. Now, in a cooling world, this trait makes a dramatic comeback. The most delightful and quirky tidbit of this new era is the proliferation of dino fluff. You see juvenile tyrannosaurs, 20 feet long and already formidable, covered in a thick, downy coat of proto-feathers, making them look less like scaly monsters and more like terrifyingly large carnivorous chicks. This insulation gives them a crucial edge, allowing them to stay active and hunt during the cooler nights and nascent seasons. The world is no longer a single, monotonous biome. It is fracturing into different zones. There are still warm, humid jungles near the equator, but now there are also vast temperate woodlands, grassy plains, and cool coniferous forests in the higher latitudes. This variety creates new opportunities, new pressures, and new directions for life to take. The long stagnation is broken. The engine of evolution, which has been idling for millions of years, is slowly, powerfully revving back to life. The stage is being set for new creatures to emerge, creatures better suited for this cooler, more challenging world. Are you feeling the chill in the air? The world is waking up from its long dream. The challenges are just beginning, and they will forge new dynasties of giants. Let the gentle winds of change carry you deeper into sleep. When you are ready, we will see who rises to become the new kings of this changing landscape. The cooler world has created new problems, and evolution is busy sketching out new solutions. Brute force, the calling card of the old Tyrannosaur dynasty, is no longer the only path to success. In the temperate woodlands and sprawling fern prairies, a different kind of predator is coming into its own. A smarter, faster, and more cooperative hunter is rising through the ranks. Your attention is drawn to a flash of movement in the dappled sunlight of a coniferous forest, a place that didn't exist 10 million years ago. Here, you meet the future, the evolved dromaeosaurs. Forget the scaly movie monsters. Picture instead a creature that is far more bird than reptile. It stands about 6 feet tall, is covered from snout to tail tip in a dense coat of feathers, and moves with an unnerving, intelligent grace. These are the descendants of animals like Dakota raptor, and they have thrived in the new climate. Their feathers, once primarily for warmth, have diversified into complex patterns for camouflage and elaborate displays for courtship. Their bones, a well-known fact about dromaeosaurs, are hollow and air-filled like those of modern birds, granting them a phenomenal lightness and agility. They are not just hunters, they are feathered acrobats. You are watching a pack of them. There are 5, moving through the forest with a silent purpose that is deeply unsettling. They are a single, coordinated unit, communicating not with loud squawks, but with a complex and quirky language of subtle signals. A flick of a tail fan, a specific tilt of the head, a low-frequency chirp that barely disturbs the air. It's a silent, deadly vocabulary for orchestrating an ambush. They are flanking an unsuspecting prey animal with a level of tactical precision that would make a corporate project manager weep with joy. It's the world's most terrifying and effective team-building retreat. Their target is a species of pachycephalosaur, one of those odd, bipedal herbivores with a thick, bony dome for a head. It's busy battering a tree trunk with its skull, possibly to impress a mate or just because it's having a bad day. It remains blissfully unaware that it's being psychoanalyzed by 5 feathered predators who have already decided its fate. These new raptors have figured out how to use the environment to their advantage. They aren't just monsters. They're monsters who have read the instruction manual for the forest they live in. The pack leader, distinguished by a crest of iridescent black feathers, gives a nearly imperceptible nod. 2 members of the pack melt away into the undergrowth, circling wide to approach the pachycephalosaur from its blind side. The other 2 stay with the leader, becoming deliberately, almost carelessly visible. They step out from behind the giant fir trees, not with a roar, but with a quiet, confident stillness. The pachycephalosaur stops its headbutting and freezes, its tiny brain finally registering the danger. It lowers its domed head, its only real weapon, and braces for a charge. But the charge never comes from the front. Just as the herbivore's attention is fixed on the 3 raptors it can see, the other 2 burst from the brush behind it. It's a classic pincer movement, executed with flawless timing. The pachycephalosaur bellows in panic and confusion, spinning around to face the new threat, only to expose its flank to the leader and its companions. They strike as one. You see now how they use their most famous weapon. It is a fierce point of contention among paleontologists whether that iconic, sickle-shaped claw on their second toe was for slashing, or if it was used more like a climbing crampon to latch onto a struggling victim. From your hidden vantage point, you see it used for both. They leap, their powerful legs propelling them onto the larger animal's back and sides. They use the great claw to anchor themselves, digging deep into the thick hide, riding the thrashing beast like rodeo cowboys from a nightmare. Once secured, they use their sharp, serrated teeth and powerful hand claws to do their work. The attack is swift, strategic, and devastatingly effective. This is the key to their success: cooperation. A single one of these raptors might hesitate to attack such a well-armed animal, but 5, working together, can solve the problem with ruthless efficiency. Their intelligence isn't just about individual problem solving. It's a collective, social intelligence that allows them to multiply their force. They have become the wolves of the Mesozoic. As the hunt concludes, the pack's social structure becomes clear. There is no chaotic feeding frenzy. The leader eats first, followed by the others in a clear pecking order, reinforced with quiet hisses and subtle postural displays. They are a family, a tribe, bound by the hunt and a shared, superior intellect. They are carving out a new and powerful niche for themselves, one that the larger, more solitary predators simply cannot compete with in these increasingly complex environments. They are proof that in this new world, brains are beginning to triumph over brute brawn. Is your own mind feeling tired from the tension of the hunt? Let it relax now. The forest is quiet again, save for the soft sounds of the pack. A new power has risen, built on intellect and teamwork. Let that thought gently rock you towards sleep. When you are ready, we will see how the plant eaters respond to this clever new threat. The rise of the clever cooperative dromaeosaurs has sent a ripple of fear through the great herbivore communities. For millions of years, the primary threat was a straightforward, one-on-one confrontation with a lumbering tyrannosaur. The rules were simple: be bigger, stronger, or faster than the big-toothed bully. But this new danger is different. It's a threat that thinks, that plans, that surrounds you. You can't outrun a creature that has already cut off your escape route. And so, the ancient, invisible pressure of evolution begins to squeeze once more, forcing the plant eaters into a defensive arms race. For every clever new sword, a stronger shield must be forged. This process is a perfect example of coevolution, where the development of two species becomes intertwined. The predators get smarter, so the prey must get tougher. The prey gets tougher, so the predators must get smarter. It is a slow, silent, and deadly dance that unfolds over countless generations, and you are here to witness the new steps being choreographed. You turn your attention first to the ceratopsians, the horned dinosaurs, who were already the heavy infantry of the Cretaceous. Faced with predators that can flank and swarm, their evolution doubles down on defense. You see a herd of a new species, descended from Triceratops, grazing on the tough, grassy vegetation of a cool plain. Their horns are longer and sharper, curving forward with a more pronounced, menacing angle. But the most significant change is in their famous frill. There is still much scientific discussion surrounding whether these structures were purely for mating displays or if they also served practical functions like thermoregulation. Now, however, the debate is settled. The frill has become a solid, honeycombed shield of bone, inches thick, a veritable wall protecting the vulnerable neck and shoulders. When threatened by a pack of raptors, the herd doesn't scatter. They instinctively back into a circle, horns facing out, creating a grumpy walking fortress of spikes and bad attitude. It's an impenetrable defense that the raptors, for all their cleverness, cannot solve. Next, you seek out the ankylosaurs, the armored tanks of this world. How could they possibly become more defended than they already were? Evolution, it seems, found a way. You find one, a low-slung creature so completely covered in bony plates or osteoderms that it barely looks like a living animal. It resembles a moving boulder. The armor plating has become thicker, more intricate, and has even fused over its back to form a nearly solid carapace. This new model of ankylosaur even has bony plates on its eyelids. It has reached a level of anatomical indifference that is truly inspiring, the living embodiment of putting on noise-canceling headphones in a crowded room. You watch as a pair of young, overconfident raptors try their luck. They dart in, leaping onto its back, their sickle claws scrabbling for purchase and finding none. Their teeth skate harmlessly off the interlocking plates. The ankylosaur doesn't even bother to stop chewing. It just gives a slight shudder, dislodging the would-be hunters, and then swings its tail, not in panic, but with a slow, deliberate annoyance. The club on the end of its tail has also evolved, now sporting a series of sharp, bony spikes, turning it from a simple bludgeon into a devastating medieval mace. The raptors get the message and retreat to find easier prey. But what about the herbivores with no natural armor, like the duck-billed hadrosaurs? They can't grow spikes or plates, so they evolve their social structures and communication. Their herds become larger, more tightly knit. Their vigilance is constant. Their greatest asset has always been their strange and hollow head crests, which they use as resonating chambers to produce deep, booming calls. Now, that ability has been refined into a complex, early warning system. As you observe a vast herd, you hear a sudden sharp blast of sound from a scout on a nearby ridge. The call is nuanced, layered. It's not just a generic danger, alarm. The other hadrosaurs react instantly, their heads all snapping up in the same direction. Their new alarm calls are so specific, they probably have one for clever pack hunter, another for big angry tyrannosaur, and a third, more mournful tone for, it's raining again. The herd bunches together, placing the young in the center, and begins to move away with a coordinated urgency, long before the raptor pack even gets close. Among the smaller herbivores, you see a truly quirky new defense. A species of bipedal dinosaur, about the size of a deer, has developed a bizarre and beautiful survival tactic. Its hide is covered in a dazzling, almost hypnotic pattern of black and white stripes and swirls. When it senses danger, it doesn't just run. It runs in an erratic, zigzagging pattern. The combination of the movement and the high contrast dazzle camouflage makes it incredibly difficult for a predator to judge its speed and distance, or for a pack to focus on a single individual. It's a brilliant, confusing spectacle, a living optical illusion designed to short-circuit a predator's brain. The world has become a grand, evolutionary chess match. The raptors made a brilliant move, but the herbivores have responded with an array of powerful counter-moves. The balance of power is held, for now, in a tense, ever-shifting equilibrium. Does the thought of this slow, silent arms race make you feel secure, protected? Let that feeling of safety envelop you. The world is full of shields and defenses. You are safe to drift. When you're ready, we will see if the old kings of this world, the Tyrannosaurs, will quietly accept being upstaged. The world has become a fortress. The plant eaters are walking tanks and spiky citadels, while the clever dromaeosaurs have cornered the market on fast, medium-sized prey. This leaves the old kings, the tyrannosaur lineage, in a difficult position. They are giants from a simpler time, suddenly finding themselves over-specialized in a world that has diversified around them. They are like a classic gas-guzzling muscle car in a world that now demands either hyper-efficient hybrids or armored personnel carriers. They cannot afford to remain stagnant. And so, under the relentless pressure of this new world, the tyrant lizard dynasty begins to split, to specialize, to evolve in new and surprising ways. You drift forward another 10 million years to a world roughly 40 million years before the present day of our alternate timeline. You first seek out the descendants of the mighty T-Rex that have doubled down on their greatest asset, power. You find one standing at the edge of a forest, and it is a truly terrifying spectacle. This is not a hunter built for speed or grace. It is a sentient wrecking ball. Its legs are thicker, more pillar-like. Its body is bulkier, and its head seems even more disproportionately large. This lineage has evolved to be the can opener for the super-armored herbivores. We know for a fact that the original T-Rex had one of the most powerful bite forces of any land animal, capable of shattering solid bone. This descendant has taken that to an extreme. Its skull is more robust, its jaw muscles are massive anchors of flesh, and its teeth are less like sharp daggers and more like giant, thick railroad spikes, designed not just to tear flesh, but to crush bone and armor into splinters. Its entire hunting strategy is less about the chase and more about the brutal, overwhelming application of force. It doesn't have a plan so much as a very strong opinion, which it expresses with its face. A recurring debate in paleontology centers on whether the original T-Rex was a pure predator or also a scavenger. Did it hunt all its own food, or did it use its size to bully smaller carnivores off their kills? This new, bone-crushing descendant has embraced both roles. It can and does hunt the heavily armored ceratopsians, using its incredible power to shatter their defenses. But it also acts as the undisputed king of scavengers, patrolling its territory and simply taking what it wants. You watch as it lumbers towards a raptor pack that has just made a kill. The pack, for all their intelligence and coordination, wisely scatters without a moment's hesitation. There is no arguing with a walking siege engine, but this isn't the only path the Tyrannosaurs have taken. In the newly formed open plains, a different kind of tyrant has evolved. To compete with the agile raptors, this lineage sacrificed raw power for speed. You see one streak across the grasslands, and it is a stunning sight. It is leaner, more graceful, with ridiculously long and powerful legs. It's a tyrannosaur built like a cheetah, designed to run down the faster, unarmored herbivores in breathtaking bursts of speed. Its head is narrower, its teeth sharper, and more blade-like, better for slicing than crushing. This speed-focused lineage has also developed a rather quirky and unexpected trait. With their bodies built for a different kind of life, their famously tiny arms have become even less useful for grappling with prey, so evolution has found a new purpose for them. You witness a male of this species performing a courtship ritual. His tiny two-fingered arms, now almost comically small on his 40-foot frame, are adorned with long, vibrant feathers. He flashes them, waving them in a complex, delicate pattern, a feathery fan dance performed by a 10-ton predator. It has all the sublime elegance of a bulldozer trying to thread a needle, but the female seems impressed. The tyrannosaurs, however, are no longer the only giant carnivores in the game. With the continents continuing their slow drift, new connections have been made, allowing new challengers onto the stage. From the southern continents, a new dynasty of predators has spread north, the Dinosaurs. These are the descendants of creatures like Carnotaurus, the strange, bull-horned carnivores. They are bizarre-looking animals with blunt, pug-like snouts, ridiculously tiny arms that make the Tyrannosaurs look well-endowed, and bodies built for relentless, sustained pursuit. They are the marathon runners of the carnivorous world, and their hunting style is different. They inflict deep, slashing bites and then follow their bleeding prey for miles, waiting for it to weaken. Their arrival introduces a new type of competition, a new set of rules the Tyrannosaurs must contend with. The reign of a single apex predator is over. The world now has a roster of giants, each a specialist in the art of the hunt. The night air is thick with the tension of this new world order. The old kings have been forced to change, to adapt, to share their throne. Does this constant struggle for dominance tire you? Let the thought of it fade. The giants can have their world. Your world, for now, is the soft, quiet space behind your eyes. Rest, and when you are ready, we will leave the land and explore the competition brewing in the skies above. Let's leave the thunderous footsteps and territorial disputes of the giant carnivores behind. Let's lift our gaze from the blood-soaked earth and turn it to the sky. Up here, in the endless blue, another quieter war has been raging for 20 million years. In our timeline, the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs also cleared the skies of their flying contemporaries, the pterosaurs, leaving a wide-open vacancy for birds to fill. But here, the original landlords never left. The pterosaurs, the leathery-winged rulers of the Mesozoic sky, have held on to their kingdom, forcing the birds, who are, remember, a branch of the dinosaur family tree themselves, to fight for every inch of airspace. You are soaring now, a disembodied presence on the high thermal winds. Below you, the world is a tapestry of green plains and dark forests. The first thing you notice are the true giants of the air. These are the descendants of the Ashtarkids, the family that included the mighty Quetzalcoatlus. But 20 million years of evolution has made them even more specialized. You see one on the ground below, and it is a creature of pure nightmare fuel. Standing as tall as a giraffe, it stalks through the fern prairie on its long, slender limbs, its wings neatly folded at its sides. It is a terrestrial hunter, a giant, terrifying stork. You watch as it spots a small, unwary dinosaur. Its long, spear-like beak darts down with the speed of a striking snake, and the small creature is gone. It's half giraffe, half bat, and all predator. The kind of biological absurdity your brain would invent if you fell asleep after eating a weird combination of pizza and sushi. How these giants get airborne is a marvel in itself. There's an ongoing discussion among biomechanics experts on this very topic. Did they launch from a standstill using just their legs, like a bird, or did they employ a quad launch, pushing off powerfully with their folded front limbs like a giant vampire bat? You get your answer as the creature decides to move to a new hunting ground. It crouches, then explodes upwards with a powerful shove from all four limbs, its vast, leathery wings catching the air with a sound like tearing canvas. Once airborne, they are majestic, but they are not alone. You see the descendants of the coastal pterosaurs, the pteranodontids, gliding over the inland sea. They are even more specialized for a life at sea, their wings longer and narrower, like those of a colossal albatross. They can glide for days on end, barely flapping, their shadows slipping over the waves. One of them sports a truly quirky and magnificent new feature. Its head crest, which was already large in its ancestors, has evolved into a huge, brightly colored, and almost translucent fan of bone and skin. It's a biological billboard, so large and aerodynamically impractical that it can only be for display. It serves no purpose other than to scream, "Look at me," to potential mates. He is the living embodiment of a flashy sports car that's too expensive to actually drive. But the birds are fighting back. They have an edge: feathers. Feathers offer superior insulation against the cooling climate and allow for more precise, agile flight, especially in cluttered environments. You see this advantage in the dense coniferous forests. Pterosaurs, with their broad, stiff wing membranes, are clumsy here. But the forests are filled with a new breed of bird, a descendant of the early avian pioneers. They are small, fast, and can weave through the tight gaps between trees with incredible dexterity, snapping up insects and small lizards, dominating a niche the pterosaurs simply cannot access. Over the coasts, the competition is more direct and ferocious. A flock of large, gull-like birds, powerfully built and aggressive, are harassing a smaller pterosaur that has just caught a fish. It's a chaotic aerial ballet of feathers versus leather, squawking versus hissing. The birds are smarter, more coordinated. They mob the pterosaur, diving at it from all angles. The pterosaur, a creature from an older, more straightforward time, is confused by the complex attack. It eventually drops its catch in frustration, and one of the birds swoops down to snatch the fish from midair. It's like watching two rival delivery drones fighting over the last package of the day. Despite this competition, the pterosaurs are not fading away. It's a known fact that they were highly sophisticated creatures with lightweight bones and, in many cases, a coat of hair-like filaments called pycnofibers for insulation, meaning they were likely warm-blooded and far from sluggish. They are holding their own in the niches they have occupied for 100 million years. The sky is not a kingdom with one ruler, but a vast territory divided between two rival powers. The ancient, leathery-winged dynasty of the pterosaurs commands the open skies and the coastlines, while the adaptable feathered upstarts, the birds, are conquering the forests and the spaces in between. The air above this alternate earth is more crowded, more competitive, and infinitely more interesting. Let your mind drift on these high currents. Feel the effortless lift of a thermal, the cool rush of air. The struggles of the world below seem distant from up here. The sky is vast and peaceful. There is more than enough room for you to simply float and to dream. When you feel ready to leave the clouds, we will plunge into the ocean to see what monsters now rule the endless blue. You leave the crowded, competitive skies behind, letting the wind carry you out over the vast expanse of the ocean. The air cools, heavy with the scent of salt. You angle your consciousness down, leaving the world of air and light, and plunge into the deep, endless blue. The transition is soft, a gentle slide from one fluid medium to another. The frantic sounds of the sky are replaced by a profound, muffling silence, punctuated by the distant alien clicks and groans of this underwater kingdom. In our world, this realm belongs to the mammals, to the whales and dolphins who returned to the sea after the dinosaurs vanished. But here, the original rulers never abdicated. For 30 million years, their reign has been absolute. This is the age of the mosasaurs. It's a common misconception that they were swimming dinosaurs. In fact, they were giant marine lizards, close relatives of modern-day monitor lizards and snakes. And with the oceans all to themselves, they have diversified into forms both magnificent and terrifying. You drift deeper into the sunless twilight zone, and you feel, more than see, a presence nearby. A colossal shadow detaches itself from the deeper darkness. It is a descendant of the great Mosasaurus, and it is a creature of impossible scale. It is longer than any blue whale, a living, swimming zip code of an animal with smaller creatures living on its skin that have likely never seen its face. This is the Leviathan. Its four flippers, evolved from the paddle-like limbs of its ancestors, are the size of small boats, gently guiding its immense bulk through the water. Its long reptilian jaw is held slightly agape, but the most stunning adaptation is its tail. Through a beautiful process of convergent evolution, it has developed a massive, crescent-shaped fluke, just like a whale's, that propels it through the ocean with slow, immensely powerful strokes. It is a lizard that has become a whale, a testament to the fact that physics will always find the most efficient design. You get a closer look at its mouth and notice a truly quirky evolutionary twist. The original mosasaurs had a second, hidden set of teeth on their palate, called pterygoid teeth, used to grip struggling prey. In this giant descendant, those teeth have been repurposed. They have evolved into a vast, fine curtain of cartilage-stiffened bristles, functionally identical to the baleen of a humpback whale. The Leviathan opens its mouth, gulping in a cubic acre of seawater containing a shimmering shoal of squid. It then closes its jaws, using its massive tongue to force the water out through the bristles, trapping a ton of food inside. It is a gentle giant, a filter feeder that has completely abandoned the predatory ways of its ancestors. But not all of its kind have chosen this peaceful path. As you ascend back towards the sunlit waters, you see a flash of streamlined power, a pack of them. These are another branch of the mosasaur family, one that has embraced speed and intelligence. They are the reptilian equivalent of orcas, sleek, fast, and organized. Their bodies are smooth and hydrodynamic, their heads are sharp and intelligent, and they hunt as a single terrifying unit. They communicate with a series of high-frequency clicks and whistles, coordinating their attacks on a large, unfortunate plesiosaur, one of the few remaining long-necked marine reptiles, now relegated to a marginal existence. The pack works together flawlessly, herding their prey, confusing it, and then striking from all sides. They are a consulting firm for aggressive oceanic takeovers, and business is booming. Watching them, you can't help but wonder about their minds. Marine biologists in our world still debate the reasons for the high intelligence of whales and dolphins. Is it the challenge of navigating a complex, three-dimensional world, the demands of a rich social life? Here, in this alternate ocean, you see a parallel path. Have these pack-hunting lizards also developed complex emotions, a unique culture, a sophisticated language? The thought is both fascinating and deeply unsettling. The rest of the ocean's inhabitants have adapted to life under the shadow of these rulers. The fish that survive here are masters of evasion, built for incredible speed or breathtaking camouflage. They practice a form of aquatic zen that involves being as boring and invisible as possible. The ammonites, those beautiful shelled relatives of the squid that went extinct in our timeline, still thrive. With no new predators evolving to crack their shells, some have grown to enormous sizes, their spiral shells as large as truck tires, drifting through the middle depths like armored, tentacled ghosts. The ocean floor is a landscape of alien gardens and strange, slow-moving creatures, a world in a perpetual state of quiet, nervous vigilance. The water around you is cool and heavy. It presses in from all sides, a gentle, constant embrace. Can you feel the deep, slow rhythm of this underwater world? The silent glide of the Leviathan, the soft clicking of the hunters. Let the pressure and the silence wash over you, calming your thoughts, slowing your breath. There is nothing to do here but float. When you are ready, we will leave this dark, quiet world and travel to the most inhospitable place on the planet to see what has survived in the land of ice. You rise from the dark, churning ocean, leaving the great marine lizards to their eternal underwater struggles. Your consciousness drifts south, carried on winds that grow steadily colder, sharper. The deep blue of the sea gives way to a turquoise studded with white as the first icebergs appear, fragments of a frozen continent. You are traveling to the bottom of the world, to Antarctica. 40 million years ago, this was a land of temperate forests. But the long, slow cooling of the planet has had its most dramatic effect here. The continent is now encased in a permanent sheet of ice, a vast and silent kingdom of white. It is a place of stark, minimalist beauty. The sun, when it appears, hangs low in the sky, casting incredibly long, blue shadows across the snow. For months on end, the sun vanishes completely, leaving the world under the ghostly glow of the aurora australis, its shimmering green and violet curtains dancing silently in the frigid air. The silence is the most profound thing you've ever experienced, a quiet so deep it feels like a physical presence. It's so cold here that the simple act of breathing feels like inhaling a handful of tiny, sharp needles. On the bright side, you never have to worry about your drink getting warm. It seems impossible that life could exist here, let alone the descendants of giants who thrived in tropical heat. But life is stubborn. It's a well-established fact that dinosaurs did live in the polar regions during the Mesozoic. Fossils found in Australia and Alaska, which were then located in polar latitudes, prove that certain species were already adapted to environments with cold temperatures and long months of darkness. In this timeline, their descendants have had 40 million years to perfect those adaptations. You see a flash of white against the white of the snow. It's a predator, a polar tyrannosaur. It is not as colossal as its temperate zone cousins. A smaller, stockier body is more efficient at conserving heat. Its most remarkable feature is its coat. It is covered from head to toe in a thick, shaggy mantle of white, insulating protofeathers. It is a fluffy 2-ton killing machine, perfectly camouflaged against the snow and ice. It looks like the world's most dangerous department store Santa Claus, if Santa decided he wanted to eat his reindeer instead of just making them work on Christmas Eve. It moves with a slow, patient deliberation, its senses honed for this sparse environment. Scientists are still piecing together exactly how the original polar dinosaurs coped with the months of winter darkness. Did they have unusually large eyes to see in the perpetual twilight, or did they rely more on other senses? This polar tyrant seems to have embraced all of it. Its eyes are huge, dark orbs, capable of gathering the faintest light from the stars or the aurora. Its nostrils flare constantly, tasting the air for the scent of prey, a scent that carries for miles in the dry, cold air. Its prey is a small herd of herbivores you see huddled in a valley, sheltered from the relentless wind. These are a species of hypsilophodont, small bipedal dinosaurs that have evolved into the sheep of the Antarctic. They are covered in a thick, woolly down, and their feet are broad and flat, like snowshoes, allowing them to move across deep drifts without sinking. They survive by eating the only vegetation that can grow here, hardy mosses, lichens scraped from wind-blasted rocks, and the frozen, freeze-dried remnants of tougher plants from the brief summer thaw. Their diet consists of food you would only eat if every other food on the planet had already been consumed. It's the sad, gray salad at the very back of the universe's refrigerator. To survive the brutal, sunless winter, these small herbivores have developed a quirky and ingenious strategy: communal hibernation. As the last light of the sun disappears for the season, they gather in a sheltered basin, huddling together by the hundreds. They form a vast living mound of woolly dinosaurs. Their metabolisms slow to a crawl, entering a state of deep torpor, their collective body heat preserving them through the worst of the cold. They become a mountain of sleeping life, waiting for the return of the sun. It is during this vulnerable period that the polar tyrannosaur has its best chance to find a meal, stalking the edges of the hibernating herd, looking for any individual that is weak or exposed. Life here is a finely balanced, minimalist ecosystem. The sea provides a crucial link. In the dark fjords carved by glaciers, you see the reptilian equivalent of a leopard seal, a smaller, cold-adapted mosasaur, hauling itself out onto an ice floe. It is hunting the polar birds, the descendants of those who now dominate the Antarctic skies, having proven more adaptable to the extreme cold than the leathery-winged pterosaurs. The food chain is short, brutal, and incredibly resilient. The silence of this frozen kingdom seeps into you. The world is reduced to its essential elements: ice, rock, wind, and the quiet, desperate struggle for survival. It is a profoundly peaceful and sleepy place. Let the vast, white emptiness fill your mind, pushing out all the cluttered thoughts of your day. There is only the soft crunch of snow and the whisper of the polar wind. Rest here in the land of the long night. When you are ready, we will leave this extreme environment and peek into the shadows of the world to see how the smallest of creatures, our own ancestors, are faring. We retreat from the blinding white of the Antarctic, leaving the polar giants to their silent, frozen struggle. Our perspective shrinks, pulling back from the colossal scale of dinosaurs and diving down into the shadows, into the undergrowth, into the world between the cracks. For 50 million years, we have walked with giants, but all this time another story has been quietly unfolding at their feet. It is the story of the mammals. Our story. You are now seeing the world from a new perspective, about 6 inches off the ground, The air is thick with the smell of damp soil, rotting leaves, and the musky scent of fur. The thundering footsteps of a passing herbivore are not just a sound, they are a localized earthquake that shakes the very world. A shadow passing overhead is not a bird. It is a terrifying, sky-blotting omen of death. This is the world our distant ancestors inhabit. The number one rule of mammalian life in this era is simple: don't get stepped on. Rule number 2 is a close follow-up. Seriously, watch where you're going. It's less a life philosophy and more a very practical daily safety briefing. It's a well-established fact that during the age of dinosaurs, mammals were small, mostly nocturnal creatures. They survived by being everything the dinosaurs were not: tiny, secretive, and quick. Without the great extinction event to clear the stage, they have remained in this role, but they haven't been idle. They have become the masters of the niches that are too small, too difficult, or simply too uninteresting for the reptilian rulers. The dinosaurs may own the house, but the mammals are running the utilities, managing the pest control, and living rent-free in the walls. They are the real landlords. You follow a small, shrew-like creature as it disappears into a hole at the base of a giant tree fern. You follow it down into the earth, into a surprisingly complex network of tunnels and chambers. This is a subterranean society, a world built to escape the dangers above. Here, safe from the giants, this species has thrived. They have communal nesting chambers, larders stocked with grubs and preserved roots, and even designated latrines. It is a civilization in miniature, powered by the relentless drive to stay hidden. Back on the surface, night falls, and the world transforms. The day belongs to the dinosaurs, but the night belongs to the mammals. You climb high into the canopy of a great coniferous tree and watch as another kind of mammal begins its day. A furry creature with huge, dark eyes emerges from a hollow in the trunk. It scurries to the end of a branch, pauses for a moment, and then leaps into the empty air. But it doesn't fall. A flap of skin, a patagium, stretches between its limbs, and it glides silently to the next tree, a living, furry wingsuit. This is their solution to the dangers below: simply refuse to touch the ground. It's the evolutionary equivalent of deciding to live your entire life on the roof of your apartment building to avoid your noisy neighbors. They have conquered the forest's middle layer, a territory the clumsy raptors and giant tyrannosaurs cannot reach. What allowed the dinosaurs to maintain their dominance for so long is, of course, a fascinating question. An ongoing puzzle for evolutionary biologists is what truly held the mammals back. Was it purely the ecological pressure from the dinosaurs, being constantly hunted and outcompeted? Or were there other internal physiological constraints that prevented them from achieving larger sizes? Here, the answer seems to be all of the above. The world is simply too full of dinosaurs for any mammal to dare to get big. Still, they are masters of sensory adaptation. You watch a creature that looks like a cross between a hedgehog and a rat as it forages on the forest floor. Its most remarkable feature is its whiskers. They are incredibly long and fine, brushing against the leaf litter as it moves. This is a quirky but powerful superpower of touch. These whiskers, or vibrissae, are so sensitive they can detect the faintest vibrations in the air, the subtle disturbance caused by a stalking predator, or the tiny movements of an insect hidden under a leaf. It navigates its world not by sight, but by feeling the shape of the space around it. a silent, tactile awareness that keeps it alive. They may be small, but they are not insignificant. They are warm-blooded, their minds are sharp, and their devotion to their young gives them a crucial advantage. You see a mother of the gliding species, her tiny offspring clinging to the fur on her back as she soars from tree to tree. She will teach them, protect them, and ensure their survival with a fierceness the cold-blooded, egg-laying giants rarely exhibit. This capacity for nurturing, for passing down knowledge, is a powerful, slow-burning evolutionary weapon. They are playing the long game. The world may be full of thunder and roars, but down here in the dark, there is a quiet, persistent rustling. It is the sound of adaptability, the sound of survivors. Are you beginning to feel that quiet persistence? The soft, steady heartbeat of the underdogs. Let it soothe you. The great and powerful make all the noise, but the quiet ones are the ones to watch. Rest now, in the safety of the shadows. When you are ready, we will rise from the darkness and listen to the new sounds this ancient world is beginning to make. We rise from the quiet, hidden world of the mammalian underdogs. We leave the darkness, the silence, and the soft rustling in the leaves, and we return to the grand stage of the dinosaurs. But we are not looking this time. We are listening. Over 50 million years, the physical forms of these creatures have twisted into new and wonderful shapes, but their voices have evolved as well. The simple grunts, squawks, and roars of the Cretaceous have blossomed into a rich and complex symphony of strange new sounds, a planetary language of immense power and subtlety. You are standing on a vast plain at twilight. The air, once filled only with the drone of insects, is now alive with music. This is the territory of the hadrosaurs, the duck-billed dinosaurs, and their descendants have become the undisputed maestros of the ancient world. It's a well-supported fact that the hollow crests of hadrosaurs like Parasaurolophus acted as complex resonating chambers. In this timeline, evolution has turned these instruments into a full orchestra. A herd in the distance produces a deep, sonorous hum, a trombone-like note that travels for miles, announcing their presence. A scout on a nearby hill answers with a series of sharp, percussive clicks from its shorter, more compact crest, signaling that all is well. As the two moons of this alternate Earth begin to rise, a male begins his courtship song, a complex, haunting melody of rising and falling notes that is surprisingly beautiful. It sounds like a symphony where every musician has decided to warm up at the same time, in different keys. It's chaotic, majestic, and somehow perfectly harmonious. It's dino jazz. Scientists who study animal communication in our own world still grapple with the question of syntax. Do animals possess true language with rules, or are they just using a collection of distinct signals? Listening to the complex call and response of this hadrosaur herd, the line becomes wonderfully blurry. Their calls have structure, rhythm, and seem to convey incredibly specific information. It's a language you can't understand, but one you can deeply feel. But not all communication is so audible. You turn your attention to the edge of the plain, where one of the giant, bone-crushing tyrannosaur descendants is on the prowl. It is silent, yet the air around it feels charged with menace. It lets out a roar, but you don't hear it. You feel it. It's a deep, vibrating pressure in your chest, a silent, subsonic wave that washes over the landscape. This titan has perfected the use of infrasound. Like modern-day elephants and tigers, it can communicate over vast distances using frequencies too low for most ears to detect. It's the ultimate power move. You don't even have to waste your breath on a vociferous roar. You just stare at a rival from across a valley and make them feel a deep, existential dread in their bones. It's passive aggression perfected at a planetary scale. The smaller animals panic and flee from this silent command, their bodies responding to a threat their ears cannot hear. The clever dromaeosaurs, the pack hunters, have also refined their vocal skills, but for deception rather than display. Hiding in the brush, you listen as one of them lets out a soft, plaintive cry, a perfect imitation of a lost baby herbivore. It's a chillingly accurate performance, designed to lure a concerned mother into a carefully prepared ambush. They can mimic the chirps of harmless birds to signal all clear to their packmates, or the aggressive hiss of a smaller predator to scare it away from a potential meal. They are not just hunters, they are feathered, cold-blooded con artists, running a variety of very successful, very permanent scams on the less intelligent inhabitants of their world. As you venture into the deep, dark forests at the continent's heart, you discover a form of communication that is utterly silent and completely magical. A small, bipedal dinosaur, no bigger than a turkey, is moving through the near-total darkness, and it is glowing. This quirky, beautiful creature has evolved bioluminescence. Patches of skin on its neck, flanks, and tail are studded with photophores, symbiotic bacteria that produce a soft, cool, greenish light. It flashes these lights in a specific rhythmic pattern, a pulse, a pause, another pulse, and in the distance, another creature flashes the same pattern back. It's a silent, secret code of light, a way to find a mate or define a territory in the pitch-black forest where a loud call would be an invitation to a larger predator. You are standing in a forest of living, walking fireflies, a place of breathtaking, quiet beauty. The world is speaking, singing, and signaling in 1,000 new ways. It is a rich, dense tapestry of information, a constant flow of communication that governs the lives of every creature. The planet is more alive, more aware than ever before. Can you hear the symphony? The deep hum of the herds, the silent pressure of the tyrants, the twinkling lights in the forest. Let these strange, ancient sounds become a mantra, a lullaby to carry you off to sleep. Rest now. Because when you are ready, we will confront the most challenging question of all. In a world this complex, has true intelligence finally taken root? The symphony of the dinosaur world fades into a background hum. The complex calls, the silent roars, the flashing lights, they all point to a world of increasing complexity. And this inevitably leads to the most profound question of all. In a world with 60 million extra years to experiment, has life taken the next great step? Has animal intelligence crossed the threshold into true, self-aware sapience? We journey now to a secluded river valley, another 10 million years into the future, to a time just a few million years shy of our own, to seek the answer. We must be careful here. The idea of an intelligent dinosaur often conjures up images of reptilian humanoids in silver jumpsuits, which is not what we're looking for. The path of evolution is winding and strange. It would not create a human out of reptilian parts. It would create something entirely new. Our candidate for this great leap is a descendant of the clever dromaeosaurs, specifically from a lineage known for its large brain, a creature much like the ancient Troodon. In our timeline, Troodon already had one of the largest brain-to-body size ratios of any non-avian dinosaur, making its descendants the logical place to start our search. You find them near the riverbank. They are a small family group, perhaps 7 or 8 individuals. They are gracile and elegant, their bodies still perfectly adapted for speed, but their movements have a new quality, an economy, a purposefulness that transcends mere animal instinct. Their heads are slightly larger, the forehead more pronounced. Their eyes, large and forward-facing, seem to watch the world with a disturbing level of analytical focus. Their hands, once used simply for grasping and tearing, now have longer, more nimble fingers, capable of delicate manipulation. You watch as one of them, an older female, picks up a large, hard-shelled river turtle. She tries to bite it, but the shell is too thick. She drops it, nudges it with her foot, then seems to ponder the problem. This is the moment. A less intelligent creature would give up and move on, but she does something different. She picks up the turtle again, carries it 20 feet to a large, flat slab of rock, and then selects another, smaller, sharper-edged rock from the riverbed. Holding the sharp rock in her flexible hands, she begins to methodically tap at the weak point on the turtle's shell, the seam where the top and bottom meet. It's a slow, tedious process. They haven't invented the can opener yet, let alone a decent Wi-Fi password. But these are baby steps on the path to technology. This is tool use. Anthropologists and biologists in our world still debate the great filter, the theoretical barrier that seems to prevent intelligent life from becoming common in the universe. What is the crucial, impossibly difficult step that separates clever animals from a civilization-building species? Is it complex language, the control of fire, abstract thought? As you watch this creature patiently work on the turtle shell, you feel like you are witnessing a species trying to push its way through that very filter, taking one of the first, most critical steps. Her success comes with a dull crack. She has broken the shell and can now access the meal inside. But what happens next is even more significant. A younger member of the family who has been watching her intently comes over. It picks up a different, unbroken turtle. It mimics her actions, clumsily at first, trying to hold the sharp rock, tapping at the shell ineffectively. The older female watches, then lets out a soft series of clicks and nudges the younger one's hands with her snout, repositioning its grip on the rock. This is not just instinct. This is teaching. This is the transmission of knowledge. This is the birth of culture. Later, you follow another one of these creatures to its nesting site, a shallow depression lined with soft ferns, and you see something truly quirky and wonderful. The nest is decorated. Arranged in a neat little circle around the edge are a dozen or so smooth, iridescent blue stones, a strangely shaped piece of driftwood, and the shimmering, metallic green carapace of a large beetle. These objects serve no practical purpose. They are not food, they are not tools, they are not camouflage, they are beautiful. This is the first art gallery, the humble beginning of aesthetics, of an appreciation for things beyond mere survival. This creature is not just living in the world, it is beginning to interpret it. It has its own questionable modern art collection, and while it doesn't do anything, it says something profound about the mind that gathered it. These creatures are on the very first rung of the ladder. They are still millions of years away from agriculture, from writing, from complaining about the ending of a popular television show. But they are on their way. They have culture, they have tools, they have an appreciation for beauty. They are the quiet hope of this alternate world, a new kind of mind awakening in the shadow of the old giants. Does this quiet, profound beginning make your own busy thoughts feel distant? A new intelligence is dawning, slow and patient. There is no need to rush. There is only the gentle tapping of a rock, the soft glow of a shiny stone. Let your own mind quiet down. Let it rest. When you are ready, we will pull back to a global scale and witness the chaos as two worlds, two continents of dinosaurs, collide for the very first time. We pull away from the quiet, thoughtful world of the first tool users, leaving them to their slow journey towards intelligence. While they are busy shaping rocks, the planet itself is busy reshaping continents. For tens of millions of years, North and South America have been two separate isolated continents, two giant biological laboratories running parallel experiments. But the slow, inexorable march of plate tectonics is about to change that. You watch from a vantage point, high above the Earth, as a chain of volcanic islands rises from the sea, and the gap between the two landmasses narrows century by century. Finally, after an eternity of separation, a thin, muddy strip of land forms, the Isthmus of Panama. A bridge between two worlds is complete, and the gates are now open. What follows is the great dinosaur interchange, a biological event of unimaginable scale and chaos. In our own timeline, the same event occurred but with mammals. It was a world-altering migration that led to the triumph of some species and the extinction of many others. Now we witness it with a cast of reptilian giants. Ecologists in our world still debate the principles of invasion biology. What makes an invasive species so successful? Is it their own inherent superiority or the naivete of the ecosystem they are invading? You are about to see this debate play out on a continental scale. It's the planetary equivalent of merging two completely separate social media platforms without any warning. The confusion, the random conflicts, and the weird new creatures showing up in your feed, it's glorious world-building chaos. First, let's meet the inhabitants of the South. Isolated for 60 million years, they are wonderfully strange. The dominant predators here are the abelisaurs, the pug-nosed, bull-horned carnivores. They are formidable, but their primary prey has been the true giants of this continent, the titanosaurs. These are sauropods that have evolved to sizes that dwarf even their Cretaceous ancestors. They are living ecosystems, mountains of flesh that have little to fear from the southern predators. The plains are also home to unique herds of herbivores found nowhere else. The first migrants moved tentatively across the new land bridge. From the north, a pack of the highly intelligent, cooperative raptors ventures south. They are entering a world that has never contended with this kind of strategic, pack-hunting intelligence. The southern herbivores, used to clumsy, straightforward attacks from abelisaurs, are completely unprepared. The raptors find themselves in a paradise of naive prey, and they thrive, a wave of feathered death spreading south. From the south, The first lumbering titanosaurs moved north. The first northern tyrannosaur to see one of these behemoths must have had its mind completely blown. It's like being the toughest predator in your neighborhood and then meeting a creature that is literally the size of your entire apartment block. The tyrannosaurs, for all their bone-crushing power, are simply too small to tackle a healthy adult titanosaur. These southern giants, for the first time, are able to spread into a land with no effective predators, and they flourish, their immense herds transforming the northern landscapes. The clash of the apex predators is a brutal affair. A northern crusher tyrannosaur, built like a siege engine, meets a southern abelisaur, built for a running battle. It's a clash of styles. The tyrannosaur has the power, but the abelisaur is more agile. You see them fighting, a messy, ugly brawl of biting, shoving, and roaring. There is no clear winner. They are too evenly matched, yet too different. You have predators from the north who have never seen prey this big, and prey from the south who have never seen predators this smart. It is a very steep and very unforgiving learning curve for everyone involved. Amidst the chaos of the giants, a quirky little underdog from the south finds its moment to shine. It's a small, bipedal dinosaur with a long, pointy snout, no teeth, and a ridiculously long, sticky tongue. In South America, it evolved to feed exclusively on the massive colonies of giant ants and termites. It was a bizarre specialist. But as it timidly ventures north, it discovers a world teeming with insect colonies, a vast, untapped buffet that the northern dinosaurs had completely ignored. This strange, anteater-like dinosaur spreads like wildfire, a weirdo who has finally found its calling. The Interchange is a two-way street of invasion and opportunity. The world's ecosystems are being thrown into a giant blender. Some species, unable to cope with the new competition or the new predators, are driven to extinction. Others, like the raptors and the titanosaurs, find themselves in a golden age, their territories expanding across a whole hemisphere. The world is becoming more homogeneous, the strange distinctions between the two continents slowly blurring into a new, chaotic equilibrium. This process will take millions of years, a long, slow period of adjustment, of conflict, and of creation. The scale of it all is hard to comprehend, isn't it? The slow, silent march of continents, setting the stage for a chaotic dance of life and death. Let the sheer size of it all make your own worries feel small and distant. You are a witness to the remaking of a world, a process too large to grasp. Let that feeling of awe be a soft blanket. There is nothing for you to do but float and watch. When you are ready, we will see what kind of world emerges from this grand continental experiment. The great, chaotic reshuffling of the continents is over. Millions of years have passed since the land bridge formed, and the violent, unpredictable mixing of species has settled into a new, stable normal. We have seen how the animals have changed, but now we pull our focus back even further to see how the planet itself has been transformed. For 65 million years, the Earth has not been passively inhabited by these giants. It has been actively shaped by them. They have become the planet's gardeners, its engineers, and its landscapers. This is a world sculpted by dinosaurs. You are drifting over what was once North America. You see a river, but it looks unnatural. It is too wide, too straight, its banks too uniform. You follow it for miles and realize you are not in a riverbed carved by water, but in an ancient highway carved by feet. This is a sauropod migration route, used for so many millions of years that the constant crushing weight of billion-ton herds has compacted the earth into a dense, semi-petrified road, sinking it below the surrounding landscape until water naturally filled it in. You're looking at the original Route 66, just with significantly larger and less frequent rest stops. The entire continent is crisscrossed with these ghost highways, a testament to the immense power of life in motion. This concept, where animals fundamentally shape their environment, is well known to ecologists. In our world, elephants are a prime example of these ecosystem engineers. They topple trees, dig water holes, and spread seeds, actively creating the savannas they live in. Here, the dinosaurs perform this role on a scale that is almost geological. Geologists and climatologists in our time still debate the power of the biological pump, the influence life has on the global climate and geology. In this alternate world, the answer is clear. Life is a planetary force. You watch a herd of giant, long-necked herbivores as they move through a forest. They are the world's most effective and certainly laziest gardeners. Their landscaping philosophy is simple. Eat absolutely everything here, then walk 1,000 miles and poop it out over there. This process, repeated for eons, has had a profound effect on botany. Plant species that were once confined to a single valley are now spread across entire continents, carried in the bellies of these living seed dispersal machines. The forests are a strange and beautiful mix of species that would never have coexisted otherwise. The structure of the woods is also their handiwork. The high-browse sauropods trim the trees from the bottom up, creating vast park-like woodlands with towering canopies and a clean, open understory. In other areas, the low-browse ceratopsians and their kin create dense, nearly impenetrable thickets of shrubs and hardy bushes. The world is a living mosaic of these dino-gardened biomes. The soil itself has been changed, thanks to the constant efforts of the vast herbivore herds. The planet's nutrient cycle is in overdrive. The sheer volume of plant matter consumed and then redeposited as waste enriches the soil on an industrial scale. It's the ultimate farm-to-table ecosystem. If the table is a forest floor, and the farm is the digestive tract of a 70-ton dinosaur. These hyper-fertile plains support a density of plant life that our own world could scarcely imagine. You drift towards a large, shallow lake that shimmers in the afternoon sun. It feels different somehow. Its edges are unusually round, its bottom coated in a thick, dark, nutrient-rich mud. This isn't a natural lake. This is a dinosaur wallow. It is a quirky and wonderful feature of this landscape. A low-lying area with a source of groundwater became a popular spot for generations of giants to come and bathe, to coat their skin in cooling, parasite-repelling mud. Over thousands upon thousands of years, their immense bodies have excavated the depression, scooping out tons of earth until it became a permanent, self-sustaining pond. It is now a unique microhabitat, an oasis teeming with amphibians, insects, and small aquatic mammals, all living in a spa created by a giant's daily hygiene routine. Even the predators play their part in shaping the world. The constant pressure they exert keeps the herbivore herds moving, preventing any one area from being overgrazed into a desert. The remains of their kills return concentrated nutrients to the soil, creating pockets of fertility. Their presence ensures the herds stay healthy, culling the weak and the sick, a vital service for the long-term stability of the ecosystem. Every creature, from the largest titanosaur to the smallest scavenging mammal, is a thread in a web of life so old and so complex it has become a geological force in its own right. The planet is not just a stage for life. The planet is the life that inhabits it. Take a deep, slow breath. Feel the age of this world, the deep, living pulse of a planet that has been truly, fully wild for its entire existence. It is a self-regulating system of immense beauty and power. Let that feeling of ancient stability soothe your mind. There are no sharp edges here, only cycles and seasons worn smooth by time. When you are ready for your journey to end, we will take one final step and place you, a human observer, into this lost world. You are standing now in the final moments of our journey, not as a floating, disembodied ghost, but as yourself, a human. You are placed gently into the heart of this alternate present day, a world 66 million years in the making. The air is clean, thick, and humid, filled with the scent of strange blossoms and damp earth. The trees are colossal, their trunks wider than your home, their leaves creating a deep green canopy that blots out the sun. Even the ferns seem to have an attitude here. Everything is bigger, older, and profoundly unimpressed by the fact that your species invented smartphones and artisanal cheese. You are not at the top of the food chain. You are not even in middle management. You are an unpaid intern, and you look very, very edible. The ground beneath your feet trembles, a deep, rhythmic vibration that you feel in your bones. A minute later, the source appears. A herd of titanosaurs, the southern giants, moving along one of the ancient, sunken highways we saw earlier. They are mountains in motion. Their heads serenely browse the tops of the tallest trees. Their passing is like a slow, silent parade of gods. You are nothing to them, a speck, less than the insects buzzing around their immense ankles. This is the reality of a world where the megafauna never left, a world where humanity did not evolve to become the dominant force, but has arrived, perhaps, as a guest, or an appetizer. A sharp, percussive sound echoes from the plains, the call of a hadrosaur, and you find, to your surprise, that you have learned the language of this place. That specific call is not an alarm. It is a territorial declaration. You have learned that a sudden silence from the insects means a large predator is moving nearby. You have learned to watch the sky for the cross-shaped shadow of a stalking pterosaur. This is a quirky and essential survival skill, a primal literacy that your own deep brain instincts have quickly reawakened. A flash of movement in the undergrowth catches your eye. It is one of the feathered dromaeosaurs, the clever hunters. It stops, its head cocked, and its large, intelligent eyes lock onto yours. It is not just looking at you, it is assessing you, analyzing you. Is this a threat? Is this prey? Is this something new and strange? In its gaze, you see the mind of the creature we met in the last chapter, the tool user, the problem solver. It is a profoundly unsettling experience to be so thoroughly evaluated by another creature. It decides you are not worth the effort and melts back into the forest with barely a rustle of leaves. It is the ultimate question in speculative biology, isn't it? If a species like ours were to arrive in such a deeply established, ancient ecosystem, could we survive? Could we find a niche? Or would we simply be another brief, failed experiment, a fossil record of overconfident bipeds who were ultimately no match for the planet's true rulers? The real estate opportunities here are endless, but the zoning laws are a nightmare, mostly because they are enforced by 10-ton lizards with a taste for property developers. As dusk falls, the world changes. You see a tiny gliding mammal leap from a high branch, a furry ghost in the twilight. The symphony of the hadrosaurs begins its evening chorus. A low, subsonic pressure tells you a tyrannosaur is on its nightly prowl miles away. The air cools, and the strange, bioluminescent fungi on the tree trunks begin to cast a soft, ethereal glow. This world is ancient, balanced, and complete without you. It is a beautiful, terrifying, and deeply humbling thought. You have been a witness to a world that never was, but perhaps in some other corner of the universe is. A world where the age of dinosaurs simply never ended, and now your time here is ending. The vibrant, chaotic images begin to soften at the edges. The world, which was so sharp and clear, starts to feel like a distant memory, a story that has been told. The air around you is no longer thick with the scent of primordial forests, but is becoming the familiar, safe, and quiet air of your own room. The deep, rumbling footsteps of the giants fade away, replaced by the soft, gentle hum of a fan or the quiet stillness of your own peaceful home. The strange and wonderful creatures, the feathered tyrants, the armored herbivores, the walking continents that are the sauropods, are all turning away, receding into the mists of your sleepy mind. They are returning to their world and leaving you to yours. Let them go. Their story is over for tonight. The immense pressure of their existence is lifting, leaving you feeling light, peaceful, and wonderfully deeply tired. Your only task now is to let go of this world and sink into the soft, quiet, and welcoming darkness of a long and restful sleep. Let the last echoes of their ancient world be a gentle lullaby, a deep, planetary hum that guides you effortlessly into your dreams.